Did you know when it comes to fingerpicking, there's 7 deadly mistakes that a lot of guitarists make? I'm going to go set up a studio now and teach you what those are exactly. Alright, so let's go. Alright, okay, welcome to this video. Today we're talking about the 7 deadly mistakes that fingerpickers make that hold them back. If you've tried fingerpicking in the past or you've struggled with it, then you definitely want to watch this video because I'm going to teach you 7 things that are going to massively make a difference, okay? So you're going to learn some tricks of the trade, some pro secrets and some really cool little stuff, and at the end I'm going to do something very exciting for you as well, okay? Right, so the first mistake that most people make is playing with poor technique, okay? So what does that mean? Okay, poor technique is everything. Look at the way I'm sitting. I'm sitting in a classical position. I don't sit like this in the hunched over rock position. I remember hearing a famous guitar teacher on YouTube, I'm not going to say his name, but basically he once said this position, the classical position, is not cool, so don't bother doing it. And then a lot of his students on forums and stuff like that complain that they got a bad back and the chords buzz and they can't fingerpick or they can't pick and everything's poor. And the truth is, if you play like this, you can play pretty well. A lot of professionals can, but a lot of professionals also stand up, which is, you know, a different kettle of fish. Okay, but most professionals don't sit and play when they play live. But you know what? You can play like this and you can play well, but if you play like this, you've got much more freedom. This is the classical position. I often tell students to put a strap on, okay? Put a strap on, and right, rude. So wear a strap, sit in the classical position, raise your foot, okay, on a footstool, and you've got the nut roughly about shoulder level, and then you can play with true freedom. Your wrist isn't bent, okay? You can keep your wrist straight. That's really helpful. Not pressing too hard, minimum pressure, okay? So that's the first thing. Second mistake is getting a weak finger picking tone. A lot of people just have terrible tone, okay? And the finger pick like this, you know, let's play something on the open strings. They play like that, and that sounds weak and weedy and terrible. It's a bit like a Justin Bieber cover of a Freddie Mercury song or something like that. You know, it's just not good. Nobody wants to hear it, okay? But this, bold, bright and confident, you know, that's how it should be. A bit much more like Freddie Mercury singing, for instance. Bold and bright, okay? And confident and awesome, okay? So that's the sort of thing. You get that bright tone. It sounds so much better than this weak, scratchy tone. There is a time and a place for picking quietly, but you got to pick quietly with clarity, okay? So one little tip that you can do when you finger pick is instead of plucking and picking down the strings, turn your hand slightly. That frees up the thumb so it doesn't bump into the fingers, and then pluck. You get a nice bright sound, okay? Doesn't always pick it up that well on the camera because you got compression on the audio, but you know, you should be able to hear this pretty well, okay? Thumb on the low E, index on the G, middle on the B, ring on the high E, and just play that over and over. You need to keep plucking each string until it sounds good. The third thing is practicing too fast. That's what I felt I was about to start doing just, okay? When I was practicing that, I was going quite quick. So you want to slow it all down. Slow tempo. If you need to, pluck a note and count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a good little exercise for playing in time. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and so on as you play the pattern. That can help you just getting used to playing in time. You can tap your foot to the beat. It can help you get a bit of a groove going as well. That's really useful for slowing you down, because everybody feels like, you know, it seems like everybody's like Speedy Gonzales trying to learn guitar, you know, or the Tasmanian Devil is probably much more like it, because everyone just causes chaos when they're trying to learn in the early days. And that's not your fault. That's the way guitar tuition is often taught. But everybody needs to slow it down, focus on technique, focus on tone, okay? And slow down. That's the first 3. Let's move on to the next one. It's fingerpicking a guitar that is unsuitable for you. A lot of people play a guitar that is not suitable for them. This guitar, is it perfect for me fingerpicking? No. There are better guitars I like to fingerpick, but it's pretty much my all-round favourite guitar. But why isn't it perfect? Well, I prefer the strings to be a little bit further apart, so I've got a bit more space. Now, some people with small hands and small fingers would prefer a guitar probably a little bit smaller bodied, maybe. You know, it's a fairly small bodied guitar. But people who are a lot bigger might prefer a bigger, you know, spacing. The guitar has to suit you. My biggest question that bugs me the most, and I don't blame anybody for asking, is when they say to me, Dan, what guitar do you recommend for a beginner? Or what do you recommend for me? I've been playing for 5 years, and I'm like, it doesn't matter what I say. Go to the shop, try 10 guitars out, pick which one that feels best to you, sounds best to you, and inspires you the most to play. That's the standard advice I give to everybody on that. Okay, I do love Yamaha guitars for acoustics, and I love their electrics as well, to be fair. But there's lots and lots of great guitars out there. I've tried guitars that cost thousands that I didn't like, guitars that were very, very cheap, like a Jasmine, really budget guitar. It didn't sound that great, but it felt great. And you know what I mean? If it feels great, you're going to get a better tone out of it, okay? So pick a guitar which suits you. With finger picking, you might need to pick a slightly different guitar to if you was playing like strumming stuff or playing a lot of rock stuff. Obviously acoustic and finger picking work really well, so the classical, but you can finger pick on an electric. The great Mark Knopfler will tell you all about that if you ever bump into him. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. The next one, accepting your mistakes. A lot of people just go, oh, it's okay, I made a mistake, I could just get on with it, okay? But no, don't accept the mistakes. If you make a mistake, don't beat yourself up over it. That's the worst thing you can do, but fix it. A lot of people do the opposite of that. They'll flip that. They'll accept the mistake, but beat themselves up. They'll just, oh, I'm not good enough, it doesn't matter, I can't do this, or that's just me, I'll make that mistake, I'll keep plucking the wrong strings because I'm hopeless and I've got no talent, and it's like, happily playing along, and it's like, so all of a sudden it's just from like 0 to 100. That's what a lot of people are like. But if you make a mistake, don't let it bug you, don't beat yourself up, just go to work fixing it. Okay? There's usually a technical issue behind every mistake. Sometimes it's letting your fingers and your hands drift too far from the strings. Sometimes it's a lack of concentration. Sometimes it's just your overall technique. So work on that. I've got other videos on YouTube all about technique that can help you as well. I've got courses and books that talk about it. My Fingerstyle 101 book, it talks in great depth about technique, and that's going to help you stop making mistakes. Okay. It's also a video course, by the way, Fingerstyle 101, I should say. Okay, the next mistake people make is looking back and forth at each hand when they play. They'll do this sort of thing. Okay, let's try this. If you've ever recorded yourself playing, you may spot that you do that. You may not even realise you do it, but watch yourself in a mirror play, or get somebody to record you, or just put your phone up and record yourself. You'll start seeing that if you're a beginner, okay? And I guarantee that's okay. Nobody's probably ever told you the importance of fixing that, but if you do fix it, it's going to help your playing. What you want to do is pick a finger picking pattern. You can do a very, very simple pattern. Play it slow. Look only at this hand, and then you're going to have to try and slow down, feel for where the chord is for the next chord. Let's do C. Feel for it. Resist the temptation to look. Only look at this hand. If that's too hard, just look at this hand. But then you're going to have to feel where the strings are with your picking hand. But I guarantee you do that with one thing every single day, just the same thing over and over every day, and you only look at one hand at a time, you're going to make more progress on that, okay? And you're going to increase your musicality, which is one of the 5 big elements of guitar playing. All right, so the next one, finally, this one's all about practicing in free time. Okay, what a lot of people do, they'll play and they'll just not have anything to help keep them in time. So like they won't have a foot tap, a metronome, a drum beat or anything. They'll just play like this, and often sounds a bit like this. See where the grooves just went really bad, instead of it sounding like this. Instead of it sounding like that, it was kind of like speed up, slow down, okay? So you got to try and either tap your foot, nod your head, use a drum beat, play along with recordings, or basically get great rhythm, okay? But those are the ways to get great rhythm. Is you can jam with other people as well who've got better rhythm than you, but stop just practicing in free time. Counting is obviously a great way to do it as well. This pattern is a 6/8 pattern, so it'll be like 1 2 3 4 5 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and so on. That pattern, I'm just going to give you this little chord progression to jam now as well. Okay, that pattern was low E, G, B, high E, B, G. 6 plucks, thumb on the low E, index on the G, middle on the B, ring on the high E, and then middle on the B, index on the G. So string 6, 3, 2, then string 1, 2, 3. So break it up into two halves. If you count it as 6 plucks, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you can do that on the open strings, and then you go to a G, and then you can go to a G major 7, where you got 3rd fret low E, 2nd fret high E. Then back on the open strings, which is part of an E minor. Go into the C major 7, which is just 3rd fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the D, and we got the open, no need for the index finger here. And our root note, the first pluck, is on the A string. So for the C chord, the C major 7, it's string 5, 3, 2, then 1, 2, 3. And then you go back to the E minor, which is just open strings. G, G major 7, E minor, C. If you want to do some high strings like that, you can. Just have loads of fun, okay? And then later on you can do other patterns. Now that sort of thing, or you can do a bit of Travis, actual old school Travis picking. You know, that sort of thing, loads there. But if you enjoyed that, go to fingerstyle101.com/free, or you can find my book anywhere, you know, Fingerstyle 101 is the actual book. And if you enjoyed that and you want to do a bit of Travis picking like I showed you there, go to this video here. Right, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to go for a lie down now.